Shut up and sit down.
What's the story, Internet?
Shut up and sit down.
What's the story, Internet? Hope everyone is having a wonderful day so far. Hope you're all ready for another wonderful weekend of football. So, we've got a lot to talk about. There's a lot of big matches this week, hence why I haven't changed this board, because there's just too many big matches going on. So, let's start in Spain. Or at least we would start in Spain, but there's not really any big matches. So, instead we're going to jump over to the Serie A. So, the Milan derby. Inter Milan versus AC Milan. And it's even more important because it's first against second. 1 point in it. Inter Milan are currently on top. So a hugely consequential match in the race for the title. Any slip up by either team could give Roma or Juventus an opportunity to catch up to them. It could put Inter 4 points ahead of AC. It could put AC 2 points ahead of Inter. A lot of variables in this very important match at the San Siro. So, very, very consequential football going on in Milan. Another match I just want to touch on briefly is 5th against 6th, Napoli versus Atalanta. Napoli, they're both on 40 points. Napoli have a game in hand. So if Napoli win this, it would put them level with Roma, with a better goal difference, and with a game in hand. So it would put them on 43 points. And if they won their game in hand, it would put them on 46 points, which is only 3 points behind AC Milan currently, and 4 points behind Inter Milan. So again, consequential match for Napoli. Also a consequential match for Atalanta, because they would be in the same position. They'd overtake Roma. They just don't have the game in hand. So it's not as consequential as Napoli's situation. So let's leave behind Italy and let's go to Germany. So, big match is Eintracht Frankfurt versus Bayern Munich. So not a rivalry per se, but it's first against third. So yeah, Bayern are on 49 points, Eintracht Frankfurt are on 39 points. So usually it wouldn't be that big a match because Bayern would expect to just breeze past them, but especially after what happened to Arminia Bielefeld last week, they'll want to come out all guns blazing and just absolutely embarrass Frankfurt. But Frankfurt won't want to let that happen because they want to keep pace with Leipzig, they want to keep pace with Bayern Munich, of course, and they also want to keep Wolfsburg and Leverkusen and Dortmund at bay because Wolfsburg are level on points with them. So they want to keep everyone at bay, obviously. So the other big match I just want to mention, just because it is a big rivalry, is Borussia Dortmund versus Schalke. So it's not a big match consequentially because Schalke are bottom of the table. Obviously they'd like to get points because they don't want to be bottom of the table anymore. But I just wanted to mention it because it's one of the biggest rivalries in German football. So it would also be helpful for Dortmund if they won, because it would add 3 points. If Leverkusen drop points for any reason, then they'd be right on the tail. So very important match there. The one to watch out for, though, is the Frankfurt-Bayern Munich one. That's the one that is going to be the most consequential, in my opinion. So moving on over to the Premier League, got some big matches in this one as well. So we're starting with Wolves versus Leeds United. Depending on when I post this, it's either tomorrow, Friday, or it's today, Friday, depending on when this gets posted. But so yeah, I think this is a very important match for both of them because it's 11th versus 12th. Leeds have a game in hand, and if Wolves won, then that would mean that they would leapfrog Leeds into 11th. But if Leeds won, variable on whether Arsenal won or not, but they have the opportunity to leapfrog Arsenal. With their game in hand, they'd be in touching distance with Tottenham, although Tottenham do have a game in hand as well. So they're level on games played with Tottenham. But I think it's very important for both teams because Leeds lost last time out, so they'll want to be getting back to that winning form that they had. Wolves did beat Southampton though, so they'll want to continue this run of form that they've had. So I think it'll be interesting to see how both teams react to last week's results. We'll see what happens when they come out of the gate. So Southampton versus Chelsea, probably a bigger match than normal just because of the way that Southampton have been playing recently. Also the way that Thomas Tuchel has got Chelsea playing football again. 3 wins on the trot, albeit that draw in his first match in charge, but he's got them playing a lot better football. And just look at Timo Werner scoring his first goal in God knows how long. But Southampton will want to get back to winning ways. They were doing so well, and then they lost that match. They lost against Manchester United 9-0, and then they just kept losing and losing and losing, and it's just so unfortunate to see their sort of fall from grace. Next match is Burnley versus West Brom. Very consequential match at the bottom of the table. Burnley will want to come back from that draw with Fulham because that was their opportunity to get more points. A point was good, but 3 points would have been better. This, if they can beat West Brom, it will put them even further away from the relegation zone. So Burnley really need to win this, but West Brom really need to win this because they need points. The draw against Manchester United, when they potentially could have won, wasn't enough for them. They needed the 3 points. They need as many 3 points as they can get to get away from the relegation zone. So they need to catch up 13 points. It's going to take a lot to get there. So will this be the catalyst to getting them out there? We'll see. So the first big match of the weekend. It's Liverpool versus Everton, the Merseyside derby. So it's also 6th against 7th. If Everton win, they'll go level on points with Liverpool. And they also have a game in hand. So that being level with Liverpool, with a game in hand, yes, they don't have as good a goal difference, but I mean, come on. Merseyside derby, chance to leapfrog Liverpool. What more could it mean to them? Liverpool desperately need to win, and if they did, they would overtake Chelsea and West Ham, obviously depending on their results, and go back into 4th. But what a fall from grace for them. 16 points behind Manchester City now. So, yeah, another consequential match in the grand scheme of things. And just a rivalry as well, so it adds to that fire. Fulham versus Sheffield United, 19th against 20th, or 18th against 20th, sorry. So both teams will want to get those 3 points. As I mentioned earlier, that result for Fulham, where they drew against Burnley, wasn't enough for them. They needed the 3 points. Ideally, they needed that extra oomph. So is this the opportunity for them to get 3 points? Or is the opportunity for Sheffield United to get 3 points and potentially overtake West Brom? Only time will tell. So a lot happening at the bottom of the table. There's a distance between the bottom of the table and the teams above them, but it's not impossible, especially if they win against the teams that are in or around them. Things can change very, very quickly. So, next match, London derby, not a big one like North London or Chelsea versus Fulham, but West Ham versus Tottenham, the two Hams. So, I think West Ham will want to continue their fine form that they've been having recently, because they want to continue their bid of being in Europe. Tottenham, however, require the opposite. They just need to steady the ship and start getting points again. Perhaps the win in the Europa League against Wolfsburg, not the Wolfsburg you're thinking of, will help kickstart them and take them to the next level. It's all dependent on how they react to their current losing streak in the league and how they can use this European win to catalyse against West Ham. I think West Ham are going to be too much for them because Mourinho's style of soaking up pressure isn't going to work against a team that also soaks up pressure. And I think West Ham will have more nous about them to be able to attack without... whereas Tottenham, I don't think, have that ability at the moment. They're sitting very far back. So, I think West Ham will come in with a shock here. And no disrespect to West Ham, but it is a bit of a shock result. Aston Villa versus Leicester City, two of the standout sides for this season. Leicester did beat Liverpool last time out, so they'll be absolutely on cloud 9. And then Aston Villa, they drew with Brighton, so they'll be sort of licking their wounds a bit at the minute. They aren't playing to the level that they were earlier in the season. They're still a formidable team, and they're still a team that you have to respect and watch out for, but they're just not kicking on all cylinders like they were before. So this is the opportunity for them to kickstart again. But Leicester have been very, very strong this season, so we'll have to see what happens there. I think it's going to be a thoroughly entertaining match. I think Leicester are going to win this one, especially after beating Liverpool. Confidence sky high. They want to stay in third, if not second. And so yeah, I can see Leicester taking this one. Perhaps a high-scoring draw, maybe a 2-2, 3-3, something like that. But on to the other big match of the weekend, Arsenal versus Manchester City. So it's not a big match in the terms of the table because it's first against 10th. But still, Arsenal have been performing quite well recently. Aubameyang got his first hat-trick for them. Everyone's confidence will be through the roof after the win against Leeds. However, they did get held to a 1-1 draw against Benfica. Now, it's not a negative thing because they were away, so they get the away goal there. But it's not the result that you would have wanted if you were an Arsenal fan. You'll have wanted the win, you'll have wanted a good performance, all the usual things there. So definitely not the result that Arsenal fans were looking for. And we'll have to see if they can come back from that draw and if they can build on the win that they had against Leeds. On to the next one, Manchester United versus Newcastle. Manchester United will be trying to right the wrongs of the West Brom draw last week, while continuing the form of the 4-0 win against Real Sociedad. So Newcastle need to pick themselves up. They lost to Chelsea. Where was the previous result? They did beat Southampton, so that was a good result for them. But they lost to Palace. They beat Everton. So they're having a really up and down stint at the minute. Lost to Leeds. So it's interesting to see how up and down they are. They are the literal definition of a roller coaster. And I can see them coming out and fighting against Manchester United because there is that rivalry there. It's not a big rivalry, but there is that sort of mutual rivalry going on there. And also I think that they'll want to prove themselves against one of the bigger teams. So Manchester United can't be complacent and can't expect, because we won 4-0, to just go out there and wipe the floor with them. But I think Newcastle could be a good team for us to face at the moment, to put in a couple of goals, put in a performance, prove ourselves, and then kick on for the rest of the season. So, and then the last match is on Monday, Brighton versus Crystal Palace. Both sides that really need a bit of luck at the minute. Brighton drawing against Aston Villa, that's a good result for them. Crystal Palace losing 3-0 to Burnley. No disrespect to Burnley, they've had some good results this season, but Crystal Palace are there and thereabouts, so you would think that they would have put in a better performance against a team in their area. But so both sides really need to kick on a little bit here. Brighton a bit more so than Palace because they're getting closer and closer to the relegation zone. But if Brighton win, then that means the Palace are getting closer to that zone, because as teams start winning, if they keep losing, they'll get caught up. So yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting match, very scrappy match, because both sides will want to win. So that's the weekend's football. Let's go through the TV channels for the Premier League matches. So Wolves versus Leeds is on Peacock. Southampton versus Chelsea is on NBCSN and Universo. So is Burnley versus West Brom. The Merseyside derby is NBC proper and Universo. Fulham versus Sheffield United is Peacock. All of the matches on Sunday, West Ham Spurs, Aston Villa Leicester, Arsenal City, Manchester United versus Newcastle United, they're all on Peacock. And then the Brighton versus Palace match on Monday is NBCSN. So that'll do it for me. So I will be back with you next week for a review of the weekend's fixtures and then for a preview of the upcoming fixtures for the week. But in the meantime, I hope you're all keeping safe, staying out of trouble. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And until then, ta-ra for now.